Welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. As promised, I'm doing a blind tasting of Bourbon Barrel Aged Red Wines. We did the last episode, I remember I did a Zinfandel in the little stubby bourbon style bottle, and I did a red blend, Cooper and Thief. My approach to it is very simple. This is a different style wine, so you got to look at it objectively. What are they trying to achieve with these wines? I mean, they're in bourbon barrels. Used bourbon barrels are going to contribute toast and vanilla and all those flavors that come with bourbon. So what are they trying to achieve with this? Well, that's what they're trying to achieve. The quality of the wine, whether you like that style or not, what you're looking for is the quality there? Is it worth the money? Now, those two wines I reviewed on the last episode, you know, they were okay. They're expensive, which is funny because I was reading an article where a winemaker said, yeah, we used to use bourbon barrels all the time because we couldn't afford new oak. So, you know, it makes me wonder why the price is so high. Of course, they're going on the coattails of the big bourbon surge, and bourbon has become more and more popular. And there's a huge bourbon bars. I mean, bourbon's a huge thing. I know because I have a pretty big bourbon section in the store I work at, and we sell a lot of bourbon. We really do. So we're going to get into 3 different Bourbon Barrel Aged Reds, and these are more, let's say, these aren't in the squat bottles. They're not. They're labels that you will probably be familiar with. That's all I'm going to say. So let's get started right off the bat with number 1. Number 1. So I don't know how long this craze is going to last. I know a lot of the millennials like this style of wine. And I get asked, you know, somewhere between 25 and 40 are the age group that ask for these wines. They definitely have a place, and I do have bourbon barrel aged wines in my department. So let's see what we get on the nose. Well, this is, you know, very cab-like on the nose to me, anyway. I get a little bit of that vanilla that you get from the bourbon barrels. Almost a caramel, vanilla, butterscotch thing going on. Definitely very powerful. In fact, it's funny, when I first smelled it, I said, wow, this smells like a cab. And then the more I smelled, the more I realized, yeah, it has that, definitely has that bourbon barrel aged red nose. Lots of caramel on this one. And there's a good dose of cherries too. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice and smooth. Good cherry notes. Don't get as much of that vanilla on the palate. Little grip action on the backside. Not bad. Not bad. Little red flower coming through right at the back of the finish. It's a little richer. I don't think the bourbon barrel has affected it as much as maybe some in the past. And Cooper and Thief was just ridiculously fruit forward and definitely had the bourbon barrel aged stuff in it. In fact, my assistant tasted it the next day with me at the store, and he couldn't handle it. Too perfumey, too fruity for him. Now, what makes this wine interesting is good acidity. So the acidity gives it a bright lift on the backside. This tastes like a cab to me. I'm not sure what it is for sure, but it tastes a lot like a cab. It has nice red and dark cherry notes. Dark cherries up front, red cherries in the backside. Good acidity. Not super complex, but interesting. A little warm. Going warm right down here. Right here. Made a little bit of licorice. A lot of red flowers on the backside. Not a bad wine, depending on the price, of course. You know, most of these bourbon barrel aged roll in the $20 range, so bad. I mean, I think it has good qualities to it. It's certainly not funky. I don't think the bourbon barrel part comes through big time on the palate. You get a lot on the nose. I got a lot of that kind of caramel nose. But yeah, this one just had good balance, good acidity. Just a real, not super complex, like I said, but interesting enough. You know, I like it. Let's move on. Number 2. Number 2. I'm finding that these wine formats, people really like them. I'll try to do more of them. Next one is not going to be a blind format. In fact, the next one, my next episode is going to be just one wine. And I'll talk about that later. Of course, you'll have to find out what that's all about. Number 2, let's see what we're getting on the nose. This has a more kind of a spice component to it that I find quite interesting. Like baking spices. A little bit of cinnamon coming through. Now, of course, it all depends on which barrel they're using, which bourbon barrel they're using. Could be a whiskey barrel, could be a bourbon barrel. You never know. I mean, they probably are all bourbon barrel aged, I think. There it comes finally at the very back. You get that kind of caramel note that comes through. But I like that kind of cinnamon baking spice component up front with just a little bit of caramel, which seems to be the commonality of these wines, is that caramel sort of butterscotch thing that comes through. Let's see what we get on the palate. This definitely has those bourbon characteristics through the palate. This has good balance. I'm pretty impressed with this wine. You get those baking spices coming through. You get a little bit of caramel. Currant notes coming through big time with a little bit of dark cherry, maybe a little bit of red cherry. There's good acidity, but it's very well integrated. So the other one was a little brighter on the backside. This is kind of has you feel it all the way through. This has good balance. I'm impressed with this wine. Now, when I say that, I am basing it, God, don't forget guys, on what a bourbon barrel aged red, what to expect from that type of wine. Now I'm not comparing this to a good Cab or a good Merlot or a good Syrah. I'm comparing it, what should a bourbon barrel aged wine taste like? What are they trying to do with these wines? I think this is, they're hitting the nail on the head with this one. Nice lift on the mid palate, soft tannins, but they're structured. I gotta keep getting good color, fairly good color on this one. There, yeah, there you go. I love this shirt. Just a shout out to Trey Bush, Sleight of Hand Cellars in Walla Walla. Get on their website, Sleight of Hand Cellars. He has some good stuff that he sells, T-shirts especially. I always like to have a good T-shirt for this episode. I've got a couple from the Dark Side of Merlot I also got from Trey. If you can't get their wines at your store, you should get on their website and join their wine club. He has some excellent wines. Very, very good winemaker. Trey Bush, Sleight of Hand Cellars. A little simple on the end. It thins out just a little bit, but I like it overall. The nice flow across the palate, seamless. It really represents bourbon barrel aged reds in a good way. I like it. I can see, you know, I thought Cooper and Thief was a little goopy, kind of fruit forward. I still gave it a good grade. I think gave it an A. So, but I think this is a nice wine. Yeah, I like it. See, now I'm not, just so you know, number three. I'm probably not going to go out and seek out bourbon barrel aged reds for my own personal enjoyment. It's just not the style I'm looking for. But I'm finding, so far, doing this research and trying these wines, that they're not all that bad. You know, it might not be bad to have one around for my kids when they come over. They like it. You know, sort of a nice conversation piece, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So, good color, same as the other one. Guys, I want you to just hit me up every time I show the color. It's something I look at when I'm tasting the wines, but it's very important to look at the color, especially if you're in a blind tasting competition or something like that. If you're ever practicing that sort of thing, color has a big thing to do with it. But this has nice dark color to it. Let's see what we get on the nose. Again, this has a little more toast, a little baking spice, very similar to number 2. Now, I've had these open for a while, but as you know, when you uncork a wine, it's not going to do much for it if you don't pour it in a decanter. But I try to do these episodes the way consumers would do them, so you might uncork the wine an hour before you drink it. Hopefully some of you do decant. I don't think these necessarily need that much decanting, but it never hurts a wine to decant it. And you don't have to have anything fancy. I know I have a couple of decanters up here. Most of them were gifts. Yeah, in fact, all of them I think were gifts. But I'd pour it in a Kool-Aid pitcher, I'd pour it in a mason jar, whatever you have hanging around. It doesn't have to be in a special container. So there's that caramel coming through right on the backside. A little bit of a kind of a cedar dust component, which is kind of curious to me. Yeah. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very one-dimensional wine. I mean, it's not bad if you like the dimension that it's in. You know what I mean? One-dimensional. It's currants and cherries, a little bit of toast and baking spice, but that's it, front to finish. There's no high tone in the middle. It's just boom, 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 right there. Ooh, there you go, right across. You get that kind of sweet caramel notes coming through. This also has a little bit of acidity to it. On the back side, it kind of freshens up just a little bit. Fairly simple, but nothing wrong with it. Doesn't really have too much complexity. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's line them up, see where we're at. Do you ever try to figure out where I'm going to go with these? You probably kind of figure out which one's going to be where it is. I think these are all in the $20 range. Seems to be where they fall. So in last place with number 3, with a C+, straight up C+, which isn't bad. It's a little better than average. I just thought it lacked complexity. I just kind of straight across the board, but it was good. There was nothing wrong with it. Okay. Wow. This is the, sorry. Oh, there it is. 2018. Layer Cake, Bourbon Barrel Aged Cabernet Sauvignon, California, aged 3 months in bourbon barrels. We talked about that last time. This was in at $23, 14.8 alcohol. Not too bad. I thought it was above average. I thought it was good. $23 a Michael Jordan. Yeah, not bad. I don't know if I'd go out and buy it, but not too bad. $23. Layer Cake's a great label. 100 acres, I think, is the 100% handcrafted. Anyway, Layer Cake is a great label. You know, they've really, I remember when you couldn't keep Layer Cake Shiraz on the floor. Let's go. And stack Layer Cake Shiraz back in the day. Gone. Okay, in second place, number 1, with a C+, B-, so I thought it had a little more complexity than this one. I thought it was interesting. You know, what I liked about this one, I remember, which not that long ago, I better remember, is that it didn't taste as much like a bourbon barrel age. It had more of a true red wine characteristic to it without all that influence. So, there we go. This is by Gnarly Head. Gnarly Head, 1924, Bourbon Barrel Aged Double Black Cabernet Sauvignon, Lodi, California, 2017. So there you go. And I have this on the floor right now at the store, $10. For $10, 17 would be the regular price, but if you buy more cases, you get a better price. I have it on the store right now for $10. Yeah, good wine. I thought it tasted more like the real deal, like more like a red wine, less like a bourbon barrel aged wine, but it still had some of those elements, especially on the nose. Let's move on. In first place, number 2, and I think you guys kind of got the impression that it was, with a BB+, so I was really impressed with this one. I like the nose on it. I remember baking spice, but it had good complexity as well. This is the 2016 JT Steele, old Jed Boy, special red wine blend, patiently aged in bourbon barrels. And this one is 14.5% alcohol. Good job, Jed. $18. This is definitely worth giving it a try. The JT Steele special red wine blend. Now, I don't even know if he talks about the blend in it. Probably not. Nope. I'm not going to waste time trying to look for it, guys. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. I hope you're enjoying these. In fact, why don't you just share a comment? Do you prefer blind tasting over just the regular episodes? I've asked this before. I've gotten some people really like them. You know, I think just the whole idea of learning something and knowing about these wines and knowing where to spend your money, that's really what counts. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day to watch. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You guys keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.